Okay, I'm going to be doing a reaction here to Eric July, who's going to be looking at a video with regards to Joy Reid, you know, that woman who used to be on MSNBC until she was unceremoniously fired from that channel because she couldn't talk about anything other than black, blackity, black, and white. And she's going to say some very interesting things with regards to income taxation and regulation. Now, I saw a bit of this on my Instagram page from Right Winged Angel, but I wanted to go ahead and take a look at what Eric July had to say. Now, Eric July has been in this game for a while. He just restarted his For Cannon's Sake. So make sure you go over there and give him a quick follow. He's at 490,000 subscribers. So let's go ahead and try to get him over $500,000. I'm pretty sure he has that, considering the success of Rippaverse. I wish I had $500,000. Hey, Eric July, you want to hook a brother up? I digress. I'm just playing. But without further ado, let me go ahead and get into this video. Make sure you guys are doing this stuff that's up here, as you can see. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Let's go ahead and get into this video.
I don't know exactly what Joy Reid is doing these days. I couldn't tell you since she left. What was it, MSNBC that she was on? CNN. I always get them mixed up. Same. But I'm sure she has a podcast. I'm sure somebody else picked her up. But in this show, this talk show, whatever this is, she has some interesting things to say about a portion of the country that values liberty. Now, when I play this short clip, it's only 20 seconds long. Now, when I play this short clip, you're going to be like, are we for real? But I don't want to burst your bubble here. This says a lot about these types, and you have to pay attention. Let's take a look here, if you don't mind. Let's listen in on what Joy Reid has to say here.
Is that if you go back before the 20th century, there were no income taxes, there were no regulations on business. You could earn as much money as you want, leave 100% of it to your children with no taxes. Right. That's the world they want back. And to get it back, they need society to change. They need people to be less modern. They need people to want fewer things.
Now, before I let Eric July get off in there, let me just do a little bit of correction on the part of Joy Reid. She's actually incorrect that there was no income taxes prior to the 20th century. There, in fact, was an income tax. It was put in place to finance the Union during the Civil War. And once the Civil War ended, the income tax had gone away. There was no more need for it. It had served its purpose, and it's gone away. Can't say the same now, where the purpose for the income tax is always ephemeral and changing. And if you don't know what the 16th Amendment says, I have it memorized verbatim. Congress shall have the power to tax income from whatever source derived, without direct apportionment to the states. And that direct apportionment basically means they don't have to take into consideration the state's population. She wants us to stay under that regime as opposed to going back to having no income tax. Secondly, it was also wrong that she said that there was no regulations on businesses. There are all kinds of regulations on businesses. They were just more reasonable and less onerous. And yes, you could pass on your estate to your children. I mean, who else should you pass your estate on to? You work all your life to build up wealth, only to have this mysterious force come out from the ether from God knows where and snatches a portion of the wealth that you spent your entire life building up that you could pass on to your heirs. Said, nah, we don't care about that shit. We want you to pay us, give us some of your money. Taxation is theft. Not in all situations, but definitely in the situation when it comes to state taxation. That's something that Eric July probably would disagree with me on, because I feel that there is a necessary level of taxation that must be done. But the estate tax, nah, that shit can go, and so can the income tax. You don't need either one of those. So let me go ahead and get back off in here and let Eric July continue.
So you heard what she said, and you're probably like, well, wait a minute. What's the big deal? What is she tripping on? She just explained basically folks that are capitalists. And when I define capitalism, I am talking about the private ownership of goods and services and the free and voluntary exchange of those private goods and services. She's angling that as if there is something wrong with you. People that want to return to that are negative.
Oh, and just to mention on that too, that is the perversion of what leftists have done in this country. They have perverted anything that is bad to be good and anything good to be bad. And what's going on here? Let me actually go ahead and pull up my Instagram page for a minute, because this is going to illustrate that perfectly. I'm going to go over here to one of the people that I follow, and I think you guys should probably follow him too. Let me see if I'm putting that right. I am putting that in right here. Official Nate Cruz. This is a really good guy to follow. And I want to go ahead and find where I had what I was referring to. Let me actually check my notifications. It probably might show up easier here. I have a lot of, I'm always on Instagram. If you guys want to follow me on Instagram, it would be greatly appreciated. Chris Bolt Sr. That's all that's required. But let me go right here.
Generals or admirals that he doesn't like, and liberals are freaking out saying this is authoritarian and he's taking control. Okay, well, first of all, Trump doesn't actually have the authority to do that. He's the commander in chief, but military personnel are not employees of the president. They're employees of the government. So the most that Trump can do is he can either reassign somebody or he can relieve them of their duties, but he can't outright fire somebody. If he wanted to fire somebody, he would have to put in a request to the courts, and then the courts would have to make that decision. But yeah, he doesn't have the right to just fire military personnel.
Okay, so you heard that, and I'm gonna pause it right there. Now, this is something where the left continually perverts what is good and what is bad. And that's where I made my comment to right here. Ah, yes. Firing people is like authoritarianism, but keeping incompetent pieces of crap on the payroll is the hallmark of democracy. Leftists have perverted everything. And that is exactly correct. Trying to fire people is now a sign of authoritarianism. These people just spit words out and say shit because they have no North Star. They have no guiding post. They have no principle. They just say things that come to their mouths. They emote it out and they try to treat that as gospel. And then they try to turn back on you and try to make it seem like you're the one that's crazy because you try to hold to what is true. You shouldn't keep people that are incompetent, and firing people is not like authoritarianism. As Nate Cruz said right here, Trump does not have the power to fire any generals, although I will probably contend to that he doesn't. But he certainly can relieve them of command. I don't know what other they would be able to do if they are relieved of command. But of course, they all serve underneath Pete Hegseth. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth has the power to fire them. But if he has the power to fire him, then so does Trump. So I think that he would be on firm ground firing these generals, and it's not authoritarianism. And look at this other thing right here. Only does the left make loyalty a bad thing, except when it comes to them. If you don't stay loyal to them or any of their stupid tenets, they get pissed off and they will start trying to do things to you, up to and including acts of violence, including death. Just ask J.K. Rowling, as she was getting all kinds of constant threats because she would not subscribe to anything associated with the depraved nonsense that men can become women just by saying so. But let's go back over here to Eric July's video, and let's go ahead and let him finish out.
Are the baddies. They're the good guys. The folks that don't want the taxes, don't want the regulations, want to be able to give all of their money instead of to the government, to their own families, right? Be self-sufficient, actually value your community, serve your community, which you're able to do when you aren't regulated to death. She just presented that as if there is something wrong with you because you advocate that, because you, as a capitalist, again, this is everybody basically that sits on the economic right. They're trying to present you as if you are an enemy. To them, you are, but you are the bad people. As if something like that is something egregious. You heard that? I will play it one more time. I want you to just listen in, because you're probably like, wait, did she just explain people that, again, just value capitalism?
That if you go back before the 20th century, there were no income taxes, there were no regulations on business. You could earn as much money as you want, leave 100% of it to your children with no taxes. Right. That's the world they want back. And to get it back, they need society to change. They need people to be less modern. They need people to want fewer things. Is that if you go...
By the way, does anybody really think being taxed to death is a sign of modernity? It's, of course, happening in modern times, but if you can get less taxes on you, wouldn't you consider that to be more modern than being taxed to death? Taxing people and taking their wealth away has been one of the oldest things that has been done throughout time. You remember when Jesus Christ in the Temple Mount, when the tax collectors turned the temple into a tax collection place and he overturned the tables and everything, not because he was against taxation, although I'm pretty sure Jesus Christ probably was. I'm just making a speculation. But because they decided to defile the temple that was meant for God, but as a place, they use it as a place to collect taxes. So overtaxing and overregulating are not modern ideas or concepts. I would dare say that not taxing people to death, getting close to zero as much as possible, and having as little regulations on the books as possible are signs of modernity, because that is basically telling the government, saying we have enough trust in people that they will be able to take care of themselves and they will not harm or intentionally harm their fellow man. But we don't have that here. Joy Reid over here talking some nonsense. And I'm not surprised that coming from a black woman like her, that she's talking all this mumbo jumbo nonsense. But I digress on that. Let's get back to Eric July.
Again, there is nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong about wanting to not be regulated, not wanting to be taxed, not wanting to, again, have the government steal your income so that you have nothing to leave for your children in inheritance or whatever. She wants the government to be able to make that decision, as they are, through various taxation and in various forms, of taxation and regulations. This is why I think that it is strategically a mistake. Okay, one of the things that I'll go ahead and say it irritates me about people that are, again, on the economic right, is that they get in the way of themselves. What I mean by that is they don't seem to understand what they are up against. And especially in today's day and age, that is a very, I would argue, a radical position to have, as far as thinking something is wrong with that basic thing. But it represents a significant portion of the populace. And so here we are on the economic right, getting so caught up in these labels, getting so caught up about, the various strategies, getting so caught up in the egos because people think that they're the ones that folks should listen to. And I'm like, do you not understand there is a significant portion of the population that wants you broke? They want your to control your lives, your children's lives. Is it going to, can y'all give us just a decade of getting out of each other's way. I'm not asking that you guys love each other. I'm not asking that you guys have to not voice your opinion. No, that stuff is important, right? Especially when it comes to weeding out the good from the bad, I guess, kind of separating that as far as the ideas are concerned, right? Because it doesn't take much. There are people that put on a conservative label, and economically they advocate for socialistic things, right? Sure, you're going to have your gripes, but it's about sort of making sure you understand how you measure your energy that you put into that. And this is why I don't go out of my way to let's say spend a significant portion of my time attacking people that are on the economic right. I will hold my tongue in a lot of cases. Some others I won't, right? And I'm going to have my opinions, but I also understand that whether I'm a libertarian, whether you call yourself a conservative or Republican or whatever you call yourself, doesn't matter. They put us all in the same box anyway.
That's what I say about to a lot of independents, the quote unquote independents, who, in my view, are just cowards. They don't want to jump on one side of the fence or not. Not to bring in any other people that I follow or anything like that, but another Instagrammer that I was watching was talking about how he doesn't like to be put into a label here or there. He doesn't want to have to be made to choose to pick a side or anything. And I just simply responded to him. Say, hey, have you ever been called a homophobe, a transphobe? Have you ever been called a racist or a sexist or a misogynist because you gave a moderate opinion that didn't align with anything that anybody on the left said? If you did, if you were called any of those names, you are not an independent. They have already chosen your position for you. So, and then of course, with recent events, you still want to consider yourself to be an independent. You can't sit there and say, well, wait a minute. One side really wants me dead because I don't agree with them. There ain't anybody on the right. I'm pretty sure you guys are gonna probably find some extreme examples of some people on the right doing some saying some extreme things or wanting to do some extreme things. There's a difference between wanting to do extreme things and actually doing them. The left is actually doing them. Joy Reid has a poisonous worldview that sees if you don't want your taxes going to the government, or you don't want to pay more taxes to the government, you want to get as close to zero as possible. I want it to be zero. If you want less regulations because you know these idiots in the government don't know what the fuck they're doing. Pretty much what they do is they create all these regulations as a way to siphon. It's another way for them to siphon money from you to them to give them some type of relevance. If you want to go ahead and pass on your wealth to your heirs at a 100%, because, hey, you spent 100% of your life working for it, you should be able to 100% pass it on to your heirs. If you want any of that, you are considered less than, you're considered an enemy in Joy Reid's eyes. So there's nothing you can say about that as independent. And going to his point about some conservatives look at people on the left, they just have a difference of opinion. We really do want the same things. No, people on the left do not want the same things as you. They don't love this country as you love this country. They see this country as nefarious. But you guys keep just treating them as, well, we just have differences of opinion. Let me go ahead and let Eric go ahead and continue.
And here we are fighting amongst spending a significant amount of time fighting each other while they're getting away with the loot, while they're convincing people that the core of what you believe in private property rights is something that is fundamentally wrong and needs to be eliminated. And any body, groups of people that are successful in engaging with the populace and convincing them of our beliefs and our ideals You're a problem. You're the baddies, is what they believe. I'm just asking you to prioritize that, man. Like, rank, bro. That's it. It is not worth it. Understand what's at stake. You know what's going on over the past month and how crazy things have gotten. What they label you as, fascist and all these other things, to sit up there and justify or attempt to justify bad things happening to you. That's what we're up against. I just don't feel like, have your arguments. I'm not saying ignore things. I'm not saying don't have an opinion. No, I'm not saying that. Just saying be cognizant. And I'd be weary if you are just an onlooker out there, of anybody that spends most of their time attacking people on the economic right than they do leftists, despite claiming to not be leftist.
Yep, he is exactly correct. That's basically the end of the video. Let me put him on a better look. That's pretty good right there. But he's exactly correct. A lot of people on the right say, "Oh, we're on the right," except we don't agree with you on this position. And if you have that position, then you're a bad person, and we need to do something different. Now, he's exactly correct. People on the left don't believe in capitalism. They don't believe in free markets, and there's a difference between the two. That's for another video for another day. Chad Jackson gave a really good response on the difference between capitalism and free markets. That's another guy you guys should follow on Instagram, and I wholeheartedly agree with it. They don't believe in religion, especially the Christian kind, because the Christian religion definitely tells you as a human being, you need to be making changes about you. They don't want to, the left think they're born perfect. And if they're not born perfect, that they have the right to be able to do whatever they want to change it, and that you need to accept it. And if you don't accept it, you're a homophobe, you're a transphobe, you're this word, you're that word. And if that doesn't work, then they'll pick up a gun and shoot you dead where you stand. And then if you try to mourn the person that's dead and try to honor him, they'll sit there and make you the bad guy because you were honoring a racist. Don't you know that Charlie Kirk's a racist? Why? I never heard of this Charlie Kirk before, but some Democratic group put together this spreadsheet, these talking points, pass them out. Oh my God, he wanted to get rid of the Civil Rights Act. As if we as Americans can't disagree with laws and demand that those laws be changed. But he made some serious things about black women. I'll just say that. Got a black woman right here, Joy Reid, who said something that was profoundly stupid, but utterly revealing. But those are my thoughts on the issue. If you want to watch Eric July's video without my commentary, I will link that in the description. Make sure you do go give him a follow. Once again, let's get him over 500,000 subscribers. And make sure you do like, share, subscribe, turn on the post notifications, do all this stuff up here, especially comment. Commenting really helps the algorithm. So make sure you do that, but always keep it civil. Keep it civil. This is Chris Bo signing off, and I will catch you guys in the next video.